not that much really, because I'll be like this.
Yeah, that should be fine. So I got to get the, well, I mean, maybe I should do like that. They're in it. I can't help it. It's fine. It's good enough. All right, let's just go and see what we get. I'm rusty anyhow, right? But that is actually a little bit of what embodied yoga is about. Remember, it's about writing exactly how you are in any given moment. And it's about awareness of what's happening in your thinking mind, but also in your body. And then making a choice based upon what your intention is about how you want to show up in the world. So as we get started here this morning, just go ahead and just give yourself some gentle stretching. And just move in a way that feels good to your body. How'd you sleep last night? Really take space. Notice if you're pushing really hard and trying to stretch perfectly, or if you're being compassionate about those spots that might hurt or be tight. What's your energy level this morning?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yeah, I feel great.
Okay. So you get enough rest, or do you feel?
Yeah, ready to start my day the right way.
All right, sounds good. So, in some of these poses, I will take you through. There's a concept of yin and yang, and we can go ahead and have a seat for now. We're just going to explore kind of the difference between that basic yin and yang. And of course, I know that many of you understand yin and yang, but just to clarify thought. Aha. This is what we were talking about. So these are polarities, these are opposites, and a lot of time, if you were anything like me, you might be all or nothing. Okay, and that's kind of a real life example of how yin and yang, masculine and feminine, play out in our lives, and we are always seeking that balance. Okay. So as you sit here, I asked you when you were standing to notice if you were trying too hard. So go ahead and stretch your lower body. I think we stretch your upper body. Go ahead and warm up down here. And then actively try to see what it feels like when you overexert in your stretch. And is there some place that you feel that you're doing this in your everyday life? And maybe try that exact same stretch with applying a little bit less effort, sort of surrendering into however far it is you can stretch into this. Maybe you found yourself thinking things like, oh, you're so out of shape, you haven't been stretching, you're not flexible. To let all that go and just see what happens when you're okay with right where you are. How does that feel in your body? place between the two, where there's that balance between effort and ease. And so as we move through these poses, I've actually picked out 6 poses that I thought would be a great introduction for you for the EYP method. And of course, this is in connection with the Embodiment Conference, and Mark Walsh is my teacher. I've been trained in Embodied Yoga Principles, which is a series of 26 postures, half of which explore yin components and the other half of which explore yang components. So I picked 3 of each today, and we're going to move through those, and I invite you to do what feels right for you. Everything that I'm going to offer is an invitation. It's your choice whether or not you want to do it in the exact way that I am doing it. But the entire purpose of Embodied Yoga Principles is to take our everyday yoga practice or our weekly yoga practice and make it more meaningful, get more out of it, to take the lessons that we're finding in our bodies on the mat and applying them out into our everyday life. So I encourage you to explore that as we spend this time. Do you have any questions?
No.
All right.
I would like for you to explain each pose
Yeah.
and what my intentions would be, my thoughts,
Yeah.
so that I can direct that into that pose. That would be really helpful.
Perfect. And there is a lot of unusual cueing in EYP. Thanks for joining us, Panda. And so you'll find I might be asking questions that probe a little bit deeper than your traditional yoga class, and that's okay. Sometimes I invite people to bring a journal to jot down some thoughts, because just like anything else in life, you can go as far in with it as you like. And everything that we do discuss in this space, there's a little bit of inquiry and sharing, is confidential. It may bring something up for you, but when you talk about it, just please limit it to your experience that you noticed while that person was talking. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through the actual posture. I'm going to get you into a frame of mindfulness and observing. Then we're going to talk about familiarity and longing, and then link it to our life and then debrief. Okay, so I think you'll find that pretty thorough. So the first thing is to talk about the yang postures, and these develop qualities such as being forceful, boundaries, and authority. Okay, so the first one that we're going to do is your traditional warrior pose. So you've seen examples of warriors in superhero movies such as Thor. Perhaps you can imagine some different warriors yourself. And here we will take a yang stance. So we're going to have our right foot extended in this way with our knee over our ankle. So in EYP, traditional yoga alignment isn't critical, but I am a registered yoga teacher, so I am going to cue you in the traditional ways, but add in the sort of EYP light version of this. So you're going to put about 60% of your weight on this front leg, and your back leg is at a 45-degree angle. And go ahead and just settle into that for a moment. Take your time here. Adjust your hips. Remember, in this particular pose, your hip basket or your seed center should be at like a 45-degree angle with your spine. That looks good. How does that feel?
Good. A little bit of a challenge because we're on a bit of a hill, but
Yeah.
I am happy to overcompensate for that.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think in our regular life, we're on a bit of a hill. There's kind of a lot going on. There's a lot coming at us. There's that pull, right? In my particular instance, I'm actually on the down, which maybe exploring the difference between that, you can go ahead and turn around and feel how differently it feels to go sort of down the hill, because there's a certain level of restraint that has to happen there too, right?
Yeah.
Or you kind of fall into it too far.
Yeah, you're falling forward.
Right? So it's actually quite a convenient place to explore those polarities. So in warrior pose, you're going to go ahead and keep your fingers sort of tight, but notice if you're making them really stiff. And really explore your breath here. We're going to hold these poses, and they may begin to feel a little uncomfortable, but notice if you're running away from that discomfort and what that might mean for your practice or for your life. Your gaze is right beyond your fingertips. Check where your back arm is. Is it way up high, way down low? Remember, we're not judging. We're just being right here where we are. And who are you in this moment? Are you wanting to just be like, oh, go this? Or are you feeling like, oh yeah, this is a decent challenge I can do? I want to encourage you to check your alignment in your lower body. You want to make sure that you are, in fact, about 60% on this front leg. So this is your traditional warrior. And you can make that warrior stance as long as feels comfortable for your body. Some people might really have a really long stance. But it might feel more comfortable to you right now to keep it small and high. But as you're in this warrior pose, I'd like for you to notice your thoughts. In this warrior pose, if you find yourself smiling, what is the contrast there between a warrior and that smile that we put on? Is that warrior-like? I think not, right? So how fierce are you? Do you have that resting bitch face in your warrior? And if you stepped out of it and you want to shake it off, you're welcome to do that. In traditional yoga, it's really important that we balance the sides. That's not as much the intent in EYP, but that doesn't mean it's not valuable, again. If you want to try that on this opposite side, and notice how it feels different. Again, there's no right, there's no wrong. It's an exploration.
What are my thought processes? What is the embodied function of this pose? Could you go over that again? Intention?
Well, so we're talking about a warrior pose here, right? So these are some examples in life that we have here in the manual. And you notice these are all strong, masculine poses. And they show determination and focus. A little bit like taking up space. So the inquiry that's happening, what often happens in yoga is my knee right? Is it in alignment? Is my back leg right? And that's valuable, but that really keeps us in our headspace. And in EYP, we kind of want to get out of our heads. That's really what mindfulness is about. It's about connecting our mind with our body and with our intuition, and it being a seamless, flowing process. So a lot of us get stuck in our mind. You know, oh, this hurts, I just want to get out of it, right? But really what you're thinking is, where can I be more fierce and more focused in my life? And then you imagine yourself as that person. Because embodying is about being. And it's about becoming who you are. And letting go of everything that is not real and authentic, so that you can be the same person here in this beautiful backyard outdoor space as you are at the supermarket, with your friends, with your parents, with your loved ones. It helps you manage your energy. So, where are you showing up too strong in these ways? What would happen if you allowed a little bit more ease here? And with your last exhale, go ahead and allow yourself out of that and maybe walk around, shake it out. I'm so sorry. Maybe keep your eyes open if you're in close quarters or around some of the people you've been socially distant with lately. And just naturally, one of the other yang poses that I wanted to explore here was Joker. So this is really just a natural way to jump into Joker. I tend to take myself, maybe not myself, but what I do and my goals very seriously. Okay, so our purpose for exploring Joker is to perhaps do a little bit less of that. So I want to leave you with, or I want to start you with, a couple of images here. And you might notice, goodness, you know what, it's okay, I'm not even on that part. So are we going to clean that up and start over? Well, this is for you. So depending on where you are, you might not want to have your beverages out. It really is about being aware of your body and space. Not doing so well at it this morning. So I was ready to let that cup go anyway.
Being outside, right?
Right, no worries. So again, you might notice there's a little bit different embodiment in each of these examples of Joker. They're masculine, they're focused, yet some of them might be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more fun than others. So I want you to explore your own engagement, right? So for this Joker pose, again, it is your classic yang stance, okay? Which means you have about 60% of your weight on this front foot, okay? We're gonna take your hands from your center here, put it out like this. Jazz hands. How does that feel? Whoa, 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 she's playful. How does that feel in your body? Is that familiar? Is that a place where you usually live? Are you comfortable with humor? Again, this is just curiosity. Just to notice it. Again, impassioned curiosity or playful curiosity. So, where can you use a little bit more of this playfulness in your life? And so when you're ready, you want to really root down into this front leg, and you're going to lift up that back leg and really just sort of play with your balance here. Maybe you jump around, try and get yourself off balance and see what that feels like. Are you comfortable with that? Or is it off-putting? Are you really good at sort of taking things as they come in a real lighthearted manner? What about with your non-dominant leg? What does that feel like? And take the time to ground into this stance, just like you did the other one. You want to shore up some energy, get your warrior going here. If quarantine has got your muscles just because you're holding these poses for longer periods of time, which is a more yin practice, let that process just happen, but you can do it, right? So, Joker, bringing those hands back over to here. Smiling in Joker, right? Either way, whether you're trying too hard or you're like, or it's like, oh my gosh, it's completely joyful. I think that is the state we all want, is that bliss, right? So, when you feel comfortable, balance to the front here. Then play with it, look around at your people, maybe laugh. How does that feel in your body? You notice your stomach contracting. And then maybe you pause for a second. And in a traditional yoga flow, you'd be on to the next pose, on to the next pose, on to the next pose. But here what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and have a seat. Nine o'clock outside of Austin on a Texas morning. We get some slow flow yoga going on, and you notice still glistening with sweat. So it doesn't have to be fast and dance-like to really make some things happen for you. So I want to ask you about your process here in this playful lightening up embodiment. And you are not on the video, so you're free to speak freely. What'd you experience? Either in that warrior pose, just anything that bubbled up that you want to share. If you don't feel comfortable, please. It's always just an invitation.
A little bit of resistance to relaxing enough to be silly during a yoga thing, which is just, and resistance to doing what you were doing, which is kind of really free and jumping around and having fun. I felt a little more focused on trying to stay balanced, focused on keeping my hands up to my side. Might be an indication as to some resistance that I feel to that playfulness or that playful side of myself right now. So,
I mean, is it okay right now to be happy? To be joyful, to be thriving? The world is at the mercy of some really scary, terrible things. Am I allowed to feel joy? Am I allowed to have fun and laugh? While we're here, I say we should, right? For me, I need more of that in my life.
yeah, but I also see that based on what you just said, that I feel more affected by a thing. And I feel that maybe tied into that. Embodied yoga principles is does it not have documented information, documented case studies on how it does actually, the poses that you made, the intention that you set mentally actually have a proven outcome when practiced regularly.
Well, so that is what the embodied yoga principles that Mark has developed are about. Is that in his study of somatics, which is a long study, hi Cardinal family, that is what the research suggests. The research suggests that, say, children in schools can't just show up these or disembodied, little heads. They're in screens all the time. They're seeing just these talking heads, and that's not real life. That's not reality. And so that's the embodiment that they are emulating or seeing modeled for them. And we're saying there's another way where you can be in complete flow of all of that. And your issues are in your tissues, what you don't know how to feel, you bring into your body, and it changes how you move through the world, physically and emotionally, spiritually, etc. So I think that is a great place. Sometimes the yoga practices I do are very intuitive, and so I work with whoever is in the space. So I'm going to move over here to one of my yin poses. We did 2 yang poses, and so I want to go ahead and move into a yin pose here. And we're going to go with letting go. So this one is a forward bend. You're just hanging out, and this is just to explore what you might need to let go of. Is it that really serious nature? Is it that expectation that you're not allowed to be happy with? Whatever it is for you, let's explore that. If you've been having trouble with some kind of attachment in your life, maybe it's too much drinking, too much sugar, too much television, too many excuses, consider letting go of them, okay? So here we're going to find our traditional mountain pose. With that spine nice and tall, tuck your pelvis in. Imagine that string lifting your head. Maybe there's somebody or something, yourself even, that you need to forgive. This is great for that too. So, feet are ground, hip socket length apart, parallel, hands totally relaxed. We're going to inhale up, bring our prayer hands through our third eye down to our chest. Perhaps close those hands a little bit. We're just going to stop for just a moment here in an EYP yin pose called inner, wherein we're going to bow our head here and set an intention for this letting go. How do you want to show up in your pursuit of this intention? Allow yourself, if you like, to see it. And then on your exhale, move down toward letting go. Forward fold. Here again, in this letting go pose, you want to ask yourself, are you holding back? This pose is an inward pose, so are you looking around? Spend your time and focus on what it is you're trying to let go of. So some common mistakes in this pose, if you can have mistakes, which are always just teachers, are maybe pulling in your toes, not letting yourself really relax here. Perhaps you put a slight bend in your knees. Maybe you want to really explore what it feels like to try a little less hard here, right? Maybe you want to let it be easy to let something go. Just be with that here. How are you feeling in your pursuit of effort versus ease? Are you pushing yourself? Are you allowing, with compassion, yourself to be right where you are in this moment?
I like the process of that move, with that tension, opening and then closing, and then bringing it into yourself, across the chakras, and then release it all. It's magical. You really feel it, especially when you think about what you're doing. And I like to not just do it once, but I feel like every time I do it, I elevate it into another level or another place, move to another place so that I can actually work on more than just one intention.
Sure, I love that. I saw that you were repeating that. That curiosity, that inquiry, and that exploration is really, really rich. So, when we let go of things that have been sort of stuck, or our baggage kind of weighs us down, so explore that feeling of lightness and perhaps try Joker again. Here. How does that feel this time? And again, there's no judging. It's really an awareness, a noticing. So, did you have anything bubble up that time as you explored Joker, revisited Joker?
A little bit looser.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you don't have to answer this, this is just a theoretical, rhetorical question. Did you find that same resistance that you found before? Sometimes we have these trolls of learning, these little things that get in there and they're like, oh, well, you don't want to let the teacher think that they're getting through to you, that, and those could be habits from being 6 years old. Who knows, right? We have those patterns. So UIP is about exploring those patterns.
It's interesting because you do go, when you listen to and go through it one time, I'm focusing more on the pose and focusing my mental thought on the intention.
Right?
But as I go through it again, I focus less on the pose because it becomes automatic, and I'm able to focus on the intention, but also feel more, try to feel more connected to my body as well, right? That's what we're trying to do there. Connected, right? What do they call it? Brain moving body.
So Mark Walsh says, your body is not just a brain taxi. It doesn't just get your brain around from place to place. It is a living thing that gives us information and helps us process our life events. And when our body is healthy, our mind is healthy, and there's that flow. So to wrap up, I wanted to invite you to check in with your warrior pose again. Okay? After that, letting go, after working through what it means to be a little bit lighthearted, what are you finding as you move into this pose at this moment, even compared to 10 minutes ago? instance, the thing that I notice is that it is physically easier.
Yeah, it is.
It's just simply physically easier. And the longer I stay in it, I can explore that. Why do I think that is? Maybe because I'm not holding tension of that thing that I just let go of. Like, literally just let go of it. And so, if you want to shake all this out, or really, in some ways, you're shaking it in, right? You're bringing it all the way in so it can settle here. And that learning can be integrated. In fact, if you haven't explored tapping, what embodied yoga for me here at Bamboo Hideaway is an eclectic kind of a practice where we do a little of a lot of things. So you might notice that my guest here is engaging in a little pet awareness. Go ahead and tap. You really want to feel that on your chest? And notice where you're breathing. So, I'm going to integrate that learning and what it means to embody the path of a warrior. How can you show up letting go of experiences that cloud the lens of your experience? And how might you show up with a little bit more ease? Take just a moment in this inner pose. And when you're ready, I invite you back down to your mat. Great opportunity to really give you something that you can take with you. Now, depending upon your space in your home, you might be able to engage in these practices in multiple places, and you might not. I have used these postures in my everyday life. I've used these in job interviews. I've used these in arguments with family members, with heated discussions with people online. And you know what happens when you get is you kind of start to tense up, right? You feel your shoulders rise. And so right there, as you start to feel those shoulders rise, you can I let go? Am I efforting here? And just brings you back into your breath. You take your breath right up here, and that's it. That's a micro pose. Anywhere. You're frustrated. You've given your power away in this discussion. And you're giving in, and you know it was right to do something else, and you need to take just a break. So you go to the restroom. And there's no room in there, but I can still feel that grounding focus of that warrior. Just right here, just doing things. So, go. Inner there is your primer of embodied yoga postures. Again, I took you through some yang postures, warrior, joker, and then we also explored yin poses such as letting go and inner pose, and all of the micro versions of those. So at this time, head on into your Shavasana. It'll allow you to find your most comfortable resting position, which is of course also a posture, a yin posture. We're exploring that feminine energy. When I first started yoga, I remember looking around. Am I doing this right? And now the question is, am I doing this right for me? And how I feel in this moment? Am I honoring myself? Shavasana, make sure that you are propping yourself up in the ways that you need to for your own body. And you might explore the difference between having your hands in a grounded position, palms down on the ground or your mat, or what it feels like to have them palms up to the sky in a place of surrender or receiving. And even in this posture of rest, there might be inquiry. Is there resistance? Staying right here for 5 whole minutes. How would practicing this embodiment alter the experiences in your life? What things do you need to stay with? And what happens in your body when you think about that? Or you call that experience into your body and you feel that. your body. And allow yourself to move in ways that feel good to you, so you can get everything that you needed out of this practice today. When it feels right, you're going to roll on over to your right side. Easier on your heart. And I don't know about you, but my heart could use some things going a little easier. So, when you're ready, bring yourself up into your easy seat. And in this closing moment, I'm going to use the third oil in my yoga trio. This is a rise. So maybe you think about your warrior here. Where you want to rise. So, everything nice and in alignment. Check in with your balance between effort and ease here. And even in sitting at your desk, if you do any of that on the weekend, where can you be a little bit less efforty? With your hands together at your heart center, I say, the light in me honors and sees the light in you. Namaste. I loved what you were saying about the moving into the letting go pose, and how it kind of had has a little bit of a qigong quality about it. Embodiment is not just yoga; it's improv, it's theater arts, it's body work, it's somatics, it's martial arts. So you know, in qigong, we might be bringing the energy down and into ourselves, and then letting go energetically of that which is filling us. And so, like, also qigong, you know, you're picking fruit, which is a great stretch. So you can stretch, right? It's so disembodied. Oh, and it's just like this sort of like pumping action. It doesn't do much for you. But when you're stretching to reach that plum or that fig, much more intentional.